Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker, and today we've got some gameplay for you. Set Championship season is approaching, coming this October, where just for participating in a Set Championship, you will receive a non-foil, maleficent, monstrous dragon promo. I'm absolutely in love with this art, and of course, if you are able to make top 8, you'll get a foil version of that promo, and first place in the Set Championship will win this stunning Maleficent Dragon playmat, which I am desperate to get this season. Since Into the Inklands, the UK Ravensburger team have invited content creators to come to exclusive early set championships. This is a humongous honour. It's an absolute privilege. We're all incredibly lucky to get to attend these events, all of us that have been anytime. They started off in Into the Inklands at just 8 people, where I was victorious and became the first ever reigning, defending, undisputed set championship of the world. Thank you very much. And since then, they've progressed to predominantly be 16-player events. But back in, I think it was Shimmering Skies, or potentially Arcasia's Island, we had a European version where our friends from France, Italy, Germany, etc. were invited to send some content creators of their own to participate in our set championship, and they went up to 32 players. So again, I want to give a humongous thank you to Ravensburger for hosting these events. Again, we're all incredibly lucky to get this privilege. It allows all of us to get content, and I, ever since set 4 or 5, have been taking along my good friend and tech guy, Fidget. I've shouted him out a lot on the channel in the past. If it was just me on my own doing this, you would just get an overhead cam just showing the gameplay, and that would kind of be good enough. But because Fidget is an expert, he studied film studies, he created a Pokemon YouTube channel which has had multiple videos that got hundreds of thousands of views. Fidget is something of a jack of all trades, and nowadays he's turned his passion project into his career as a pet photographer. Have a puppy pic. But he's a really good friend of mine, ran my first ever D&D session, and now, as payback, he is a player in my very first D&D session that I've been running for 3 years. But yeah, just want to give a humongous shout out to Fidget, who, because he is willing to come along with me to these events, we get face cams and a general much higher quality of production and content for me to bring you guys. So a humongous shout out to Fidget. But yeah, I recorded all of my gameplay. This was a European 32-player event, and there's some very hardened players in the room. People like Harlan, Sweet, Lorcana Decklist, Spessy, Moyen, Kawa, Kim, and the list goes on. So despite it being a smaller room, I was very much expecting it to be a very competitive room. The last couple of seasons, when I've presented this content on the channel, I've brought in guest casters to cast my games, which I think is really cool. I get the pleasure of having fantastic players and personalities feature on my channel as content, and I like to think that for some people it provides a casting opportunity for them. So yeah, I am continuing to do that. For this first round, I will do the commentary purely on my own. I know everybody wants to get, like, I was the one piloting the deck, right? They want to get my own thoughts. So I'm going to break down my deck and then do the commentary for this first round on my own, and then all the other rounds will have guest casters. But what I will do is I will watch back their casting of my game, and if there are any points where they say something like, oh, I wonder what Baker was thinking here, or where there is room for my own context to be added, I will add post commentary. The last thing I want to mention before we get into the deck list, and this will be a disappointment to some people, I know, last season we had enough cameras that I was able to introduce hand cam. That was the plan for this event. However, unfortunately, one of the cameras we were using stopped working, and we had to use the camera that would have been the hand cam for something else. In retrospect, it might have been better to prioritize the hand cam over one of the face cams. So if something like this happens in the future, then I will make more of an effort to prioritize the hand cam. But to be honest, the hand cam was set up and we started round 1, and then there was a problem straight away and we had to just do a quick fix. So yeah, unfortunately, there won't be hand cam for these games. There are certain games and points where I remember to show my hand to the camera, but it's not all the time. So that will make casting a little less detailed for me in this episode and my guest casters, which I hugely apologize for, but I hope you're still able to enjoy the games. So let's get to the deck list. I've already hinted at this a couple of times in my last couple of videos. I played Emerald Sapphire Cow Control. Now I want to start off by giving a shout out to Tiago, because I was very nearly locked into Amethyst Steel after seeing his success with it and then talking to him in the interview that we put up on the channel. It felt consistent, it felt powerful enough, but I wanted to just be able to do more unfair things. I'm more of a control player anyway. I definitely liked the idea of being of playing either Blurple or Emerald Sapphire, so I had access to these cards like Hades, who I really do think is the premier removal in the game. I have 0 Dumbos, and that's really what pulled me all the way off of Ruby Amethyst, to be honest. Even with Dumbos, Ruby Amethyst isn't particularly well situated at the moment, but I think you can build it to have a couple of good matchups, but the fact that I wouldn't have had Dumbos, like, completely took that off the table for me. Amethyst Steel, while obviously is better with Dumbos, I felt like I could build a version where I would still have some consistency without Dumbos. I felt like I could build the deck good enough. But like I said, I came off of the idea of Amethyst Steel. I just wanted to be able to do, like, more impactful things. So that left me really with either Emerald Sapphire or Blurple. Again, I don't have Dumbo, so that basically took Blurple all the way off the table for me. I do happen to have 4 Clarabelle. I've never played Emerald Sapphire in my life, but I did put together, like, a Big Hero 6 blue-green fun deck, which I played, like, 1 game with ever. But yeah, I had the cards for this, the Clarabelles, the Hades, the John Silvers. I had it all, and I did recognise that it is doing very unfair things and is pretty well situated at the moment. Obviously, a humongous shout out to Pandemonium, who you see on the deck title here. This is largely inspired by his list, and you may have seen we did an interview with him talking all about this deck. I also want to give a huge shout out to Sailor, the Sailor of the Azeroth Sea from Team Maelstrom, who I also spoke to about this deck more privately, and he provided a lot of insights that were really, really useful. So a shout out to Sailor as well. Really, it was him and Pandemonium that were my main go-to guys when, like, building this deck. Now, Pandemonium's version was slightly different. There were no Baymax in here, and it was 1 less Under the Sea, +1 Dig a Little Deeper, +1 Pleakley, and +1 Bend to My Will. Now, I'd already said to Pandemonium that I was probably going to take out the Dig for the 4th Under the Sea, which he thought was perfectly reasonable. And I discussed with him off camera, like, how to improve the Amber Steel matchup, to which he obviously brought up Baymax being a good choice. And Amber Steel tends to be pretty popular at the Content Creator Set Championship, so very early on I knew I wanted to play 2 Baymax. Now really, I would have liked to have taken out 2 Uninkables for them. I started off with Bend to My Will and 1 Hades. Bend to My Will is great, and I would have loved to have played it. I just thought Baymax would get more use in the room I was expecting to see. But very quickly realised I didn't like taking out a Hades. They feel so important, whether it's the Mirror or the Blurple matchup or even Amethyst Steel for their Dumbos. Like, it's so important to have this removal. So I really didn't want to lose any Hades. So I instead opted to go -1 Pleakley. Pleakley's really, really strong in this deck. Going T-Po into Sail, Ink, Pleakley the T-Po is, like, fantastic. And the 3/4 stat line can be pretty annoying, so he's a really solid card. I just did not want to cut anything else. Certainly an argument to be made for going to a lower counter vision and a higher counter develop just to guarantee that turn 2 ramp, but if you do hit turn 2 ramp without needing to dig for it, then in the mid to late stage of the game, you're going to be more grateful that you have visions as opposed to develops. So yeah, this was my list. I jammed maybe 20 to 25 games of this online. Not as many as I would have liked, all I was able to do in the time. Overall, I was fairly confident with my deck choice at the very least. Having access to Hades is amazing, and knowing that your deck has the potential to be able to hands held high Under the Sea is just, for a man that likes Be Prepared, for a man that likes a board wipe, this was too tempting to pass up. I knew aggro could potentially be a problem, but again, if we can do a shift line into Under the Sea, they often play their hand out anyway, and then this deck has a lot of, like, response cards like John Silver and Basil and Hades. If we can get them to just playing off the top of the deck, like, we should have good odds to constantly be removing characters. So I felt like there was a chance. And in the Mirror or against Blurple, I thought it was, going to come down to who's on the play, who's the better player, who makes the better plays in that particular game. But I at least felt like I had the toolkit to compete with basically everything. So let's get into the game. A quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket. If you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates, then check out Cardmarket.
Round 1 begins now. Have a lovely time.
Let's go!
That's the first time.
Love you, Ben!
That's the first time we have never played in a tournament so far.
So there we go.
Just for fun.
Right, you're on the play.
Okay, so, as you hear, my opponent is on the play. And a shout out to my opponent, Lorcana Tactics, from the German DLC casting squad. This is a great guy, a guy I've met a lot of times, a friend. This is our first time ever actually playing a game against each other, so that's super exciting. So yeah, we're going to go straight into game one. Now, I don't know what he's playing, but you can see here that he's playing dogs. But here's a little close-up of my hand. I will just pause this quickly. So this is pre-mulligan. I've got that Clarabelle. I've got Donald Duck. I've got Sale. I've got Basil. You're welcome. And the 3-drop Clarabelle and the Shift Clarabelle. So a lot of things that I want to see here. Definitely the 1-drop Clarabelle. Definitely the Sale. I am like, if I remember rightly, I think I keep the Clarabelle, the Sale, and both the big Clarabelles. You could actually make an argument for keeping this whole hand, to be honest. I wouldn't mind that at all, and we can ramp into the 4-cost Donald. I can't remember what I actually do, but yeah, we'll see in a moment. But yeah, our opponent, I don't know this at the time, but he's playing Amber Emerald Dog, so a super aggressive deck. And there you go. Thank you so much, my man, for showing us your hand. We've got the Tramp. That's a Bobby, Curse Merfolk, a Daisy, and Ursula in the hand, who will come up. No spoilers. But he is on the play. So here I am working out my mulligan. Maybe I do throw a couple of things back. Feeling kind of greedy. Maybe looking for a T-Po to go with that 3-drop Clarabelle. Obviously, if you're going T-Po, then higher odds that the Clarabelle is going to trigger. Especially on the draw. On the play, it's far easier to guarantee. But yeah, because he's going first, I'm going to wait for him to do his altar. Considering a Lilo and a Go-Go. Showing my hands at the camera again. I'm very good and bad at that throughout all of these games that you're going to see on the channel the next week or so. So opting to alter 3, and I think I kept my hand. I think I just kept my hand, which I think is a good decision, Baker of the past. Well done, sir. So here's our last cuts, and here we go. We've got that Bobby as a turn 1, but there's also Daisy and Merfolk on the play. You definitely want to be making more aggressive starts. The Bobby makes sense to put things in the discard to later be gotten back by Lady, Miss Park Avenue. We're going to ink the Street Smart Dog Tramp, I believe that is. Asked him to just confirm that. Fantastic play mat for Lorcana Tactics is there. So Tactics there, signed by many Lorcana players and creators. Going to start off with a Curse Merfolk. I'm going to ink one of the 4 copies of Basil in my deck. That's easy ink straight away. Down comes the 1-drop Clarabelle. Again, it is so important to get this Shift Clarabelle line off, right? I now know his ink combination, so I know there is... So, in Amber Emerald, I know there aren't going to be a lot of cards that can... like exert my Clarabelle or removal. I mean, there are options, but not things I'm expecting to see. Just off seeing that Street Smart Dog, that gives me a decent idea about what's going to be in the deck. We're going to ink a Go-Go and double 1-drop here. The Daisy and Bobby, who's going to trigger to draw a card. Finds another Bobby. And we can see the 3-drop Lady there, the Ursula. We're going to discard that Bobby that we just drew. And the Curse Merfolk is going to go on a little quest. So super aggressive right from the get-go. Could have been worse. Could have been double Daisy or Daisy plus Merfolk. That would have been a problem. But rest assured, this is still a problem. But yeah, me not always doing the best job of showing what's in my hand. So it's going to be hard to like evaluate overly critically. I'm going to ink the Clarabelle, player Sail the Azure at Sea. Signed by Sailor. Love Sailor. Good human being. We're going to ink another Clarabelle, Contented Wallflower, courtesy of that Sail the Azure at Sea. And it seems like I do not have a 1-drop. Obviously, I don't want to let this Curse Merfolk sit there. So yeah, I am going to take the challenge here. This doesn't feel great, because he can now remove my Clarabelle with a double challenge. But as bad as that is, it is still kind of slow for him. Like, that's denying him 3 lore. So it doesn't feel the best, but like if I'd have not done anything, then that's a guaranteed 2, 3, 5 lore courtesy of the Merfolk that would still be there. And I'm just not sure if I'm coming back from that. Does opt to take the quest diagonally. Trigger is not a big prize for me. Sail the Azure at Sea off the top of the deck. So Daisy giving me 0 cards. There are a fair few non-character cards in this deck, so you can't moan too much. But I'm gonna. You watch me. I'm gonna. Gonna ink one hand, Heads Held High, which isn't a card that I should need in this matchup too much. A lot of very small characters that I'm expecting to see in the opposing deck. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple of things, like Lady is a 4/4 Couple of characters that I would need to lower the strength if I want to Under the Sea them, but by and large, Under the Sea should still put in a lot of work here. And I play the Contented Wallflower, but I was I able to draw a card? I don't think so. I don't think I was able to draw a card there. Because he's only just drawn back up to 2. And down comes the Ursula, and that's super annoying. The Under the Sea, I got to put it back being like, oh, there is a You're Welcome. And he goes, yeah, Under the Sea. I go, okay. Correct. That's what I figured. But the Clarabelle is in my hand. But yeah, losing that Under the Sea feels terrible. There are 4 in the deck. And he did keep that Ursula from the beginning of the game. And waited for the turn where, like, it was actually the most relevant, right? Because this board, I absolutely have Under the Sea potential. I can shift and sing immediately. We do get a big prize from Daisy, the Pleakley, but then the second Daisy tries to give me a rendition of You're Welcome. Against my will. It's going to pass back over to me. But yeah, he did keep the Ursula from straight away, from turn 1. And then played it literally the turn before Under the Sea could have been a thing. So, absolute respect for that. I can't moan too much. Gonna ink Tipo. So this seems like a pretty assured shift into Big Clarabelle. Unfortunately, not likely to draw cards. Only 1 card in the opponent's hand. We do take out the lady with the 3-drop Clarabelle. He's already at 12. We've got to keep him off it as much as possible. And then light on her hooves, Clarabelle going to take out a Daisy Duck. I'm always in the favour of leaving Daisy Ducks if there are other things that quest for 2. Because Daisy's potentially giving you cards, right? Don't get me wrong, there are contexts where you would prioritise getting rid of Daisy. Because the 4 willpower can be tricky. But if you're confident that you'll be able to deal with it on a subsequent turn, then I'll always let the Daisy go on another quest as opposed to like a lady, for example. He's going to ink the Shift Tramp and play a Go-Go, which feels super bad. 2 passive law immediately, and then going to quest all the way up to 18. There's a Hades, which is a pretty good get off the top. I am, however, only at 5 ink right now. I played 1 sale. Would have loved to have seen a Pleakley at a point before this. Then again, I haven't really had anything that I would have wanted to Pleakley. Like, we haven't played a Tipo this game. We haven't played a Bobby. So I draw my card. I've got to start interacting here. So, Contented Wallflower is going to trade with that Bobby. Clarabelle is going to take out the Daisy Duck. And I've got 4 ink. I'm going to pay here. Is this a Donald? There's not a lot in this deck that costs 4. So I would assume so. Oh, You're Welcome. Okay. Yeah, putting the Ursula back in the deck. Yeah, I do think this was a misplay. I should have put the Go-Go back in the deck. My reasoning was like, well, if you draw a Go-Go, then I lose basically on the spot anyway. There's 2 damage on this Clarabelle. So that was my thought trail about why I didn't want another one back in the deck. But this Go-Go does have evasive, so it's trickier for me to remove as opposed to the Ursula. So I don't want to say it was the wrong choice, because if he draws Go-Go here, then it's over, but I don't know. Playing to win, I think it was the wrong choice. And I should have just accepted, hey, if you hit Go-Go, you win anyway. Whereas I might not be able to answer this Go-Go. He's going to play the 2-cost Tramp. Ability irrelevant in this instance. No lady on board to decrease the cost. Does boost the strength of a character for every other character on the board, but we're not challenging right now. We're questing, and we play the Emerald Chromacon. Whenever one of his characters is banished, he can bounce a character to hand, which I do have answers for in the form of the 1-drop Clarabelle. But that's it. I can't stop it. I could so this is the thing. If I'd have sent back the bounce the Go-Go, I could have challenged the Ursula that turn. That would have still been on the board, and I had a Hades in my hand. So as long as I had ink to go up to 7 ink, then I would have been able to remove the other character. So, yeah, definitely a misplay from me to hit the Ursula with the You're Welcome. Was thinking in the moment, but, not really playing to win with that particular move. I don't know how much it would have changed. Probably nothing. But nonetheless, I'm going to be on the play this time. So I will be altering first. I think that was 3 cards. 4 cards that I'm going to send back into the deck. and our opponent, Lorcana Tactics. Again, you can follow him over on Instagram. Is a very active account, always posting.
Sorry, I didn't draw. I shuffled, but I didn't draw. So basically,
So you could. Okay. So we can call Ben if you want, but in my understanding, the way this is that you just draw up. If you draw back into the same cards, there's nothing we can do
that's fine
about
for me. I just wanted to inform you.
Yep, cool. Yep.
With missequence.
Yeah.
If I get the same one, then basically it's my fault. That's fine.
No drama.
That's fair.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So yeah, you probably worked out what happened there just from that bit of audio that I left in. He has sent cards back into his deck, shuffled without drawing back up to 7. So I say, hey, we can call over Ben if you want, who's the judge for this particular event. I'll pause it there. But I'm pretty sure the way this goes is just you now just draw up to 7. If you draw back into the cards that you just sent back into the deck, then there's nothing that we can do about that. If this was like a more serious event, then I'm not sure how it would be ruled, but he was happy with that outcome. I was happy with that outcome, so we proceed. But yeah, I'm on the play this time. He gives us a little peek of his hand. We see a Merfolk, a Daisy, an Ursula, a Go-Go, a Lady, and I think that's a Clarabelle right at the bottom there. I might be wrong, but already a very, very aggressive hand. I was on the play. If this wants to play. Yes, it does. Yep, so I'm going to ink You're Welcome, play a Clarabelle, and thankfully give a little peek of my hand. I've got the 3-drop Clarabelle, I've got Tipo, Donald, Sale, and Basil. So I've got my turn 2 ramp. I've got 3-drop Clarabelle to hopefully draw myself some more cards. What I do not have is Shift Clarabelle, which is a very important piece. If I haven't made that clear enough. He's going to ink a Go-Go. He's going to wake me up. Wake me up inside. So many songs played in my head there, and I had to pick which one I was going to go with. Looking like it's going to be the Cursed Merfolk, turn 1, and pass over to moi. So yeah, I think I'm going to prioritize the Tipo here, which not only establishes me a body that I can use to go into the Cursed Merfolk without putting my Clarabelle at risk, but allows me to deplete my hand a little bit so that next turn I can play the 3-drop Clarabelle and draw a card. And unless I just secret inked the Sail, then theoretically next turn I should be able to Sail, draw a card, ink, play the Clarabelle, draw another card. I do take this quest here, it seems safe to me. There is obviously the 2-cost Tramp who can raise strength, but it would only put this Merfolk up to hitting for 1. He's going to ink a 3-drop Clarabelle of his own. Pretty sure there's no Shift Clarabelle in his deck, at least I never saw one. But just for the extra card draw, it's going to play the 1-drop Lady, who when she has 3 strength, she quests for 2. And each time you play another character, she gains 1 strength. I'm going to follow that up with a Daisy. We see he does have that Ursula in his hand. He knows how important that is. Like, theoretically, like, this is not it's a hard matchup, but like if you get the early into Under the Sea shift line going, into the early shift line into Under the Sea, then it is doable. We are going to make that play where I'm going to Sail, ink, Donald and John Silver, and then play Clarabelle and draw myself another card. And I expect it'll be the Tipo that will go into the Merfolk here. So me discarding cards isn't always the worst thing. But only, like, it's if you have Clarabelle, then it's not the worst thing. That being said, he's been doing a very good job of depleting his hand as early as possible. It was only really the fact that I was on the play and had Tipo that I was, like, able to essentially guarantee value from the 3-drop Clarabelle. Otherwise, it can be hard with how quickly they can empty their hand. He's going to make an Improvise, which I imagine is here for illusions more than anything else. And down comes that Emerald Chromacon, which again, I do have access to removal for this. He's going to opt to do nothing. He knows that, like, and I think he actually said, I'm going to predict that you've got Clarabelle. Because I discarded the Hades after I made that challenge into the Cursed Merfolk. I'm going to make a quest for Tipo. And it's the Pleakley that I have. So I'm going to put that Tipo into the Inkwell. So yeah, you can definitely suffice that. I did not have Clarabelle. If I had it, no reason to not play it this turn. Just quest, draw up a couple of cards 100% of the time. So that felt really bad. him kind of like getting the read here that I don't have Clarabelle has to maybe expect that I have another Hades now instead. Because obviously I discarded one. But I am only at 6 ink, so I would have... If he thinks I've got Hades, he knows I have to draw ink off the top. He plays Ursula, and it is Under the Sea, which I had literally just drawn. It was like the turn I just took, the one I played Pleakley. That was when I drew it. So that felt absolutely terrible. I didn't have access to it yet, unfortunately, anyway. Unless I drew exactly Shift Clarabelle here. Then I could have played it. And the tide of this game just completely changes. But I missed it. Do find a vision of the future, which is not bad, obviously. But it still means that this turn is not going to be very impactful, right? Because I've got 4 ink floating. Yes, I can ink, but... Pretty sure this is the only card in my hand that I just got off the vision. It's a Baymax that I'm able to find. Yeah, so even if I found Clarabelle there, I don't have the ink to shift. I don't have anything to ink to then pay the 5 cost. But I found the Baymax, which I think is the best choice. Well, obviously, I took it. I've got the ink to pay for an immediate shift. Quest up for 2. Again, Baymax should be good in this matchup. I do take the quest with Pleakley as well. Nothing that I'm seeing that would provide him like a decent challenge. Bar, he can play the 2-cost Tramp. Target his Ursula, give her +3, and then make a okay trade. Has the 3-drop Clarabelle and the Tramp Street Smart Dog. Obviously, the 3-drop Clarabelle not going to draw him any cards while I have an empty hand. It is going to pay just 3 for the Street Smart Dog. You pay 1 less to play him for every other character on your board. He's a 7 cost, and we have 4 characters on board, so just a cost of 3. And that means we're going to draw 4 cards and discard 4 cards. So just a great way to like tailor, cherry pick your hand. Here I am playing with the Team Maelstrom chip poker coin that I was... Poker chip, should I say, that I was gifted when I went to the Ink Invitational. Courtesy of the wonderful Wizard of Lorcana. You know who it is. Couple of quests it seems most likely to be here. Anything else I would probably question. Yep, so a quest with Daisy up to... Sorry, with Lady up to 4. Then the small lady, the 1 cost, is going to quest as well. To be fair, I think this lady actually should have gained lore there. That's something I don't remember happening at the time, because you just played... You played the Tramp. No, you've only played the Tramp this turn. Okay, no. Yeah. Does give me a Hades, which is pretty good off the top. Again, I've only got 6 ink, so I need to draw ink here. But if so, then I've got... we might be cooking. Can we be cooking? I'd love to cook. Got to imagine this will be pretty quick ink if I do find it. And indeed, Tipo is some pretty quick ink. Down comes the Hades, Infernal Schemer. Going to put a character of my choice into that player's inkwell. So begone, Street Smart Dog, to the streets with you. Baymax is going to take out this Daisy super, super quick. And yeah, I think I actually, yeah, if I'm being honest, I made that challenge not really thinking about the Emerald Chromicon. I don't know if it would have changed what I'd have done, even if I had been aware of it. Because... the Daisy is the hardest thing to take out. Only the Baymax can take it out. So if I challenged with the Pleakley or the Clarabelle first, then he just bounces the Baymax and I don't get rid of the Daisy. So yeah, I think it was right still to do what I did, even though I will admit I made that challenge not thinking about the Chromicon. But it does trigger. He does opt to return the Baymax to my hand. So I still get my challenges here. Clarabelle going to take out the lady. And Pleakley, I would say, pretty likely to... be bounced by the Emerald Chromicon. Again, get rid of the 2 quester. Technically, both the ladies I need to kind of fear because of a shift into Mist Park Avenue, but he's got not many cards in his hand, and he's already got enough ink to summon Mist Park Avenue lady as opposed to shift. And he does indeed do just that. 2 in his hand. So this is going to give him the option to take 2 characters of cost 2 or less from the discard, put them into his hand. And this is where we realise he's got separate discard piles. You see me do a little point there, like, wait a minute, which one of these is your discard? And he goes, oh yeah. So he puts it back over, takes back the daisy, and forgets to pick up his second target. I thought he picked it up. I was just pointing out that he had 2 separate discards, but he apparently just put the daisy into his hand as opposed to the daisy and another 1 or 2 cost character. He mentions it in a moment. I don't think I've left it on this recording that we're watching, but yeah, small mistake from him. I find develop your brain. Gonna look at the top 2. Little fish through his discard. He is playing that new 4-cost Emerald Genie with Evasive. That raises your character's strength while it's exerted. Me really thinking about what I want to do here. Again, would be able to provide more of an insight as to why, if I could see my hand. Yeah, so we pay 1 for the Clarabelle and then pay another 2 to break that Emerald Chromicon. So I'm super glad that actually came up. I've been talking about that for a while. And then going to pay another 3 ink here, it seems. Well, I'm going to go on a quest first. And then pay 3 ink. And yeah, I do think I played Bleakly, and I am going to put this bigger Clarabelle into my Inkwell, which you could argue is a mistake because it's still got 2 strength. But it's only got, like, there's 2 damage on it, so it can only take 1 more damage. Whereas this Clarabelle could potentially double into something, and the 1-drop could potentially double into something and still survive. I'm not sure if that was right there to ink my 3-drop Clarabelle, which was already sideways. It may have been, because it was vulnerable, right? But trying to get some stats on the board, essentially. He's going to play a second lady. This time, I think we'll remember to get back 2 characters. One of them's going to be a Cursed Merfolk, so it seems. And no, goes with the lady. Was considering the Bobby. Maybe to, like, dig through. Again, I don't know his entire deck list. Looking at what to ink here, it's going to be the 1-drop lady. And that's going to let us play probably a Daisy Duck. There's going to be a Cursed Merfolk. Yeah, that makes more sense. No need to give me even more cards. Quest of 13 and passes back to me, and it's tense. Apologies that we're getting a little bit of lag on the camera now as well. I'm going to pay 7, sorry, for the Basil, and this is an absolute misplay from me. I send back the Miss Park Avenue. I mean, there are 2 on his board. But yeah, this is going to allow him to basically, like, refresh and reset his hand. Yeah, because I can get rid of the other one. I give up a Clarabelle and take 3 damage on my Hades. Pleakley going to take out the Ursula. Yeah, so I'm able to, like, really clean up the board. But yeah, I think it was a mistake giving him out the lady. That being said, if I hadn't done that, then he goes to 17 this turn, then does whatever he's going to do this turn on top of that. He's going to 15, definitely. But yeah, the lady would have taken him to 17. So maybe it was right to do and just play to my out of saying, okay, well, this is going to let you refuel, and I need to hope that you kind of play it all out at once and that I find under the sea. Maybe that was my out. Maybe that was playing to win. Let me know about that if you got this far down below. I think it was wrong, but I think there are arguments why it was maybe necessary. Let me know down below. How would you have played that turn? Obviously, you don't know my full hand, but would you have Basil bounced the lady? Isn't he going to play that lady? Going to get a couple of characters back, play a lady and a Bobby. That Bobby's going to draw a card and then going to discard an Ursula. Questing up to 15 with a Cursed Merfolk. Pass over to me. So yeah, I really need to find Under the Sea. Like, I really, really, really need to. Obviously, if I find more Hades, more John Silvers, more Basils, and that's good. Basil's going to go on a quest for 2 and discard a card at random. I hit an Ursula, which is nice to hit. You see the little smile between us both there. I was probably like, yes, good hit. And here is another Hades, so I do have some answers. I'm able to get this Miss Park Avenue off the board. But yeah, like, if I'd have left the lady and bounced something else, like, he'd be at 17 lore right now. That lady would have been sideways. I could have probably taken it out with either trade with Basil or send in both Hades. That doesn't sound... Or a Hades and a Pleakley. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. Leaving with just a Bobby and a Daisy, though. But I've established a good board. But he's going to play another lady, Miss Park Avenue. Get a couple of characters back. Takes an Ursula. I'm not sure if I've got any cards in my hand. But still, I don't hate the choice. And we either had another Merfolk or we got it back. I think we got it back because I'm not seeing a Merfolk in the discard, and there have been multiple Merfolks played this game. We're gonna quest up to 18. Bobby and Daisy. We're gonna have a trigger. It's gonna hit the perfect gentleman, Donald Duck. Yep, so that's my only card in hand now. Simply gonna pass. So obviously dealing with the Daisy and Bobby is not an issue. I have answers to that on board. It's Lady and Merfolk I need to get rid of. It literally needs to be heads held high under the sea here, I believe. I don't have enough ink for, like, double Hades or Hades Silver or Hades Basil. So I've got to get rid of two things. I find a vision. I look into the future. You're welcome is another card that, again, buys me at least potentially a turn. But I don't find the answers. I extend the handshake. And I am defeated 2-0 in round 1 by Lorcana Tactics. So yeah, not the best start for me. Definitely a couple of misplays from me as well in game 1. The You're Welcome onto the Ursula as opposed to the Go-Go. And then the one I just mentioned about bouncing back the Miss Park Avenue. Let me know your thoughts on them down below. What I will say is my run gets slowly better and better. And by the time we get to rounds 3, 4, 5, like the games are pretty hype. So yeah, every other episode will have guest casters. I will add my own post commentary where appropriate. But I'm really looking forward to having guest casters on. Some of them will be returning and some of them will be making their debut on the channel. Those videos will all be coming out throughout the next week, and I hope you enjoy them. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.